Hello, I'm Avery or Hazel or Kylie. You can just pick one, I don't care which.
Hello, I am Lily.
And I am being protected by this magical force field called glass.
Class doesn't exist.
You don't exist.
I've been lied by
Anyway,
the government.
hello, and welcome to From the Closet. Today we are covering Rio. If you have not seen this movie, you can check the description, which will have a link to all the places that you can purchase, rent, or stream the movie. The link is centered around the US, and it is like to Just Watch because that's the only place where all the links can are on a single page. But if you use the Just Watch app, it will redirect you to the page for your country, and if you use the website, you will be able to change the country from the website page. Also, in the description is a link to our Patreon, where you can access episodes of this podcast early, vote on future episodes, and access episodes of our sister show, Off the Shelf, early. That podcast is also available on our YouTube channel, and it's about books. If you care about that at all,
Nerd!
shut up, Lily. Um, Also, in the description is a link to Anchor.fm, which will contain links to every single platform that this podcast is on, including the YouTube, and it will contain links to our Instagram and Twitter, where we notify people whenever we release a new episode. So, with all that being said, this episode will wait. You can join us tomorrow for Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated. You can join us next week for Rio 2. This is our second attempt at recording this episode, and we ended up spinning the wheel and it landed on Rio 2. Complete coincidence, but hey, join us
Yeah,
next week for Rio 2.
if you're wondering, this is so much better than trying to do it the other way.
Oh, yeah, good God. Our first attempt at recording this was plagued with so many technical difficulties that we just decided to completely abandon that one. Because it was going to be a pain to edit and it was a pain to record, and it sounded all choppy and crap.
So yeah, definitely a good call to abandon ship.
Yeah. So, going forward, spoilers. You have been warned. So yeah.
Rio, great movie. Why have you should have watched it. If you haven't watched it, you should watch it.
So ages ago, I saw this movie, and it was either through one of my school's trips to the movie theater, because I went to school pretty far away from my home. Many students lived at the school, and the school was very close to a movie theater. So we would go every single Friday, and the tickets were only $3, so it was relatively cheap to do that. So I either saw it there or in my school's student center, which was this special building that was like, it had our gym, it had a weight room, it had a swimming pool, it had a multi-purpose room, and it had a video game room, and it also had the school bank. Um,
Wait, your school had a bank?
Kind of like, I mean, when you have students living at the school, it kind of makes sense to give them the ability to pull out money. Um, it
Huh.
was mostly money that the kids' parents would send for them to have.
Yeah, I guess it
It
makes
was
sense.
really weird. But yeah, so the multi-purpose room had a giant projector, and it's possible that I saw Rio on that when it came out on DVD.
I cannot remember when I watched this. And just thinking about it now, this could have been the first, if not one of the first movies I've ever seen in the theaters. 'Cause I don't know. I don't remember the exact moment when I watched it. I just know I watched it when I was
Yeah,
really young.
for me, the first movie I saw in theaters was The Polar Express. But if we count drive-ins, then the first movie was Finding
Well, of
Nemo.
course we count drive-ins. God, I need to go to a drive-in.
Yeah, I specifically remember my first three movies were Finding Nemo, The Polar Express, and The Chronicles of Narnia: The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. We
Still a
have
long
covered
name.
one out of three.
Yeah, not even my. I asked my parents. No, they cannot remember the first movie in theaters I've seen.
But yeah, speaking of first, this is our first Blue Sky movie. And I have talked before in the past about how I wish that the main character from this movie, Blue, who is a blue bird, would be the mascot of Blue Sky Studios. But no, instead, we get the squirrel from Ice Age, otherwise known as the worst fucking movie franchise of all time.
Again, I still think that there could be other contenders for that. I've seen some real
Potentially,
bad stuff.
yeah, potentially, yes, there are other contenders. I'm just especially frustrated with Ice Age because I like Blue Sky and their usual output, but Ice Age is just so bad and they kept putting so much into it.
I mean, I'll be the
And
judge
then
when we finally cover that. Just,
I don't want to cover it.
it just sounds overreacting.
But
Especially how that series, I know a lot of people like it.
I literally don't know a single person who likes that series. Like, maybe some people that like the first movie, but the series, no.
Anyway, let's go back to Rio because I like Rio.
Well, hold on. Just one other thing I want to say.
Okay, sure.
I will never forgive Disney for shutting down Blue Sky. That deeply upsets me. But on the other hand, them having Blue Sky does mean that some Blue Sky movies are making their way to Disney Plus. I know Spies in Disguise is on Disney Plus, and I think that was their last movie.
Hmm.
Um, so
I-
I
I'm actually,
definitely want to cover that at some point.
I'm actually thinking about buying Rio on DVD.
Hmm.
It's such a good movie, and if you don't know, I actually don't have Hulu, so I couldn't
Yeah,
watch it on any streaming service. I had to go to my library, check it out, put in my PlayStation 4 to watch it.
yeah, because you got a Blu-ray, which
Actually, I
good
didn't.
call. Really, you got
No,
a 480p DVD?
yeah, because I wanted to get check out the one that actually had the most possibility of me getting it.
Unfortunate, but yeah, I watched this on Hulu. Um,
Also, do not try to play a game on your computer with a controller while you're also watching a movie. There may be a chance that you mix up your controller and end up reversing or fast forwarding the movie when you're trying to play that game.
wow. So I love the music in this movie. I definitely think a lot of the songs are playlist worthy, and I should probably add them to my Spotify. I just haven't done so yet.
I
And
would, I
you
would
know,
love looking at some remixes of these movies.
the thing too, like with the like music from like movies and like specifically lyrical music. I have a big playlist of lyrical music that's from like movies and shows and games.
Mhm.
Um, but the problem is, like, I've run into a problem where there is so much Ruby music in that playlist, none of which I want to get rid of. But the fact that Ruby just has so much music, it,
That your
it
shuffle will always get on that.
yeah, it's just it's just so much that's there, and like I want to fill it up with more stuff so I don't get like five Ruby songs in a row before I get a song that's from something else.
I have the same problem with Kingdom Hearts.
But yeah, loved the music in this. Um, I have a hard time picking what my favorite song would be. Probably the one at the very end, um,
I love
where
the first one.
I mean they're pretty much the same. They're
Yeah.
just slightly different. Um, but yeah, I really like this. Early on in the movie, there's a location card, and the location they give is just not Rio, and I found that really funny for some reason.
It's just not Rio.
Yeah, just not Rio. Also, weird thing that I picked up on.
Hmm.
I don't know why my brain went to this, but this is the second movie we've ever covered that had at least some of the movie taking place in Brazil.
What's the first one?
The Incredible Hulk.
Oh yeah.
And the weird thing about that is, in both of the episodes, the wheel landed on the sequel to that movie.
Oh my god.
That
It,
is the
it's all connected.
like
It's all connected, man.
I,
But Brazil is manipulating the wheel.
yes, Brazil is definitely manipulating the wheel. Like God, like for starters, I thought, okay, sure, it's a crazy coincidence that like, it lands on the sequel. Like, but then I started making the connections about Brazil and the Incredible Hulk, and that being the one other movie where we landed on the sequel when spinning the wheel in that episode. And it's just like, holy fuck.
God, that is conspiracy theory worthy.
Yeah. So I don't. Something I do want to talk about, and I don't know if you'll agree with me. Just like
I
being
absolutely
demisexual.
disagree with this. I hate your opinion. I'm kidding.
Sh- Shut up. Like with you being like demisexual, demi-romantic, and like I'm only gray ace, and I'm definitely allo romantic. So that's that's a whole separate side of things than from where you are. But I really like both of the relationships in this movie. I think they are very, very well told love stories. And they're
Um,
also both incredibly healthy,
I
with
don't
one
know
exception
about
that I will want to.
the. Yeah, I don't know much about the humans. Like how much I liked that. I feel like I definitely liked it more when I was younger than now. But I love bird romance.
Yeah. I definitely do feel like the bird romance is more well told than the human romance. The human romance is kind of um, it's just kind of there. It's not particularly great, but
It felt
it's still
kind
good
of
enough.
rushed, just a little bit rushed.
But the one issue that I have with the human romance um, is there's this scene when Linda first finds out that Blue is missing, and I'm blanking on the guy's name.
I'm gonna throw your bird.
Okay, well, that was weird, but
I mean, that's what the guy did.
he did throw a bird, yeah. But that's not the scene I'm talking about. But
Okay.
I'm trying to remember the guy's name and I can't, so we're
Anyway,
gonna move past that.
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So she first finds out Blue is missing, and this guy is like trying to reassure her, and like she's blaming herself, and she's like, "Oh, it's all my fault," and he's like, "No, no, this isn't your fault." And then she turns around and blames him,
I mean, the entire
and I don't know.
thing was his like if they didn't. A, leave and go off to this restaurant if they didn't. If Blue didn't even come to Rio, Rio wouldn't, Blue wouldn't have gone. I was about to say Rio
I
wouldn't have
mean,
gone missing.
okay, but
Yeah,
like to put fault on someone for that is really weird because
it's
to
also,
me that's like blaming someone who built a school for a school shooting that happened there.
I don't know. And, but it's also, like it's heights and emotions. How do you expect to
Yeah,
feel when you just got told that your bird got stolen? Like,
like I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense.
yeah,
I'm saying that it's not the healthiest thing. And her behavior is completely understandable here. It's just that I'm just pointing out that she's just
yeah,
kind of objectively wrong. It's not his fault. If really anyone is to blame here,
is the
it's
person that stole it.
well, not only the person I'm going to blame two people here. Not only the person that stole it, but also the person that was supposed to be the guard.
Yeah, supposed to be the
Like,
best in town. Yeah, right.
yeah, he let himself get overpowered by a goddamn bird with fucking chloroform rag. Um,
And then did it to himself.
yeah, like what the fuck? That's just a level of incompetence that I don't even know how you got the job.
Oh, and then the policeman then did it.
Oh,
I mean, it definitely shows
Christ.
the level of incompetence, which then makes it understandable on why, oh, why didn't you just get the police? Incompetence.
Yeah, but I mean, then again, there could have been other officers, but we never fucking see any.
Yeah, no, there's just one.
But yeah, I really do love the bird romance. It's really good, really well done. I really like I don't know, I really like the enemies to lovers trope. And that's kind of what this is. They're
Yeah,
not full on enemies. It's
yeah, they're not full on enemies. They're not, they're definitely not even full on friends, especially at the beginning of the movie. They're
they're
just,
definitely butting heads early on, and like there's
yeah.
definitely conflict between them. So I feel like that's enough to say that it is an enemies to lovers trope.
I mean, it's as much as two random people being shoved into a room and said make out.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty much spot on with that. I love too that there's like a large variety of birds in this
Oh yeah,
movie.
God, a lot of the birds look really nice.
Although some of them I question how on earth they fly.
Yeah,
Because according to all known laws of aviation, there is no way that this bird should be able to fly.
I'm gonna kill you.
Come on, like I had to make that joke and it
I
was funny.
know it was it was only a little bit funny.
I mean, it was right there.
It was a low hanging fruit, and you cannot deny that.
I did say that it was right there.
Heh, those too low
But yeah,
hanging.
I don't think it was too low hanging, but yeah.
I would say.
So the designs are great. I feel like, I love that they they somehow did a good job at, you know, portraying Jewel as a, female of her species, and like they didn't like give her boobs, but you can still
I
clearly tell from looking at
lo-
her that
yeah,
she's a female.
yeah, I absolutely hate that in animation and otherwise, where it's like, oh, how are we gonna tell? How's everyone gonna know that this is a female, not human? That's also female. Give it boobs.
Yeah. Cough, cough, the last unicorn tree.
That still gives that still gives me nightmares.
Check out our episode on the last unicorn. That movie was a trip.
That scarred me for life. Um, so I actually do really want to talk about this movie and something that sounds so left field. Angry Birds.
Yeah, so this movie had a weird crossover with Angry Birds. There was like Angry Birds Rio.
Yeah, I just find it so weird how it wasn't just, like a weird crossover in like one of their apps. It's a full on game.
I
Hell,
mean, it
that
makes
game.
more
That,
sorry, it makes more sense than Angry Birds Star Wars.
that I mean, Star Wars was being paired with everything. Like literally everything. Well, most things have been given a Star Wars um, crossover. Phineas and Ferb, for example.
I love how you say most games
I didn't say
and then you
I didn't really want to say most games. I just want to say most things, especially during that time. So, but what I find really weird is Blue Sky and Revo or whatever. I actually don't know who makes Angry Birds. I think
yeah,
they.
I don't
I think the company might actually just be called Rio. I
I don't particularly know or care who makes Angry Birds. And like also there's a whole conversation about how Angry Birds has fallen from grace.
Oh, it has.
And how like it started out as a really fun free uh app game, and then it eventually got bloated with microtransactions and literal pay to win mechanics, like actually paying to win a level.
Yeah, so it's actually called Rovio Entertainment. So, but enough about the game. I'm wondering why they Blue Skies and Rovio had a good um, collaboration, right? So why, when the Angry Birds movie was being thought about, didn't they go to Blue Sky? They went to effing Sony.
Well,
I'm
see, one movie was made by one studio and the other movie was made by another.
Yeah. When I was trying to look it up, I only found both movies being made by Sony.
There's no way that's right. Hold on, like I'm gonna try to actually look this up. So like
Angry Birds
maybe
movie distributors, Sony Pictures releasing, and Columbia Pictures co-production. They didn't say any distributors on Angry Birds movie 2, but co-production is still Columbia Pictures, Sony Pictures Animations. Sony Pictures Animations.
it can't be right because like I saw a specific ranking of every single movie that a specific studio had ever released, and the Angry Birds movie 2 was on that list, and they like harped on the fact that the first movie was not made by this studio.
Yeah, I feel like you've been seeing the same video, but I can't find anywhere else anything else. It's just saying the same thing. And
Yeah,
that's
it's
okay, so apparently Sony Picture Animation that wait, what? No,
what are you seeing?
oh, okay, this just says film series. Wait, yeah, it says Angry Birds under film series.
Oh, whatever. These are different movies, and we can probably find out later.
Yeah.
Um, and like it's a distraction from Rio essentially. Which okay, so the some of the other characters, okay, the monkeys are somewhat entertaining, I guess.
I'd say that they're pretty entertaining.
I really loved, seeing like paragliders, like humans paragliding around. That was really fun, and seeing like the birds flying around nearby them.
God, I have to say I love the animation.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it really does feel like a Disney movie, and it just so happens
Or
that
like
Disney
a
didn't make
really
this one.
or a really good DreamWorks movie.
I don't know if this feels like DreamWorks. Like, to
How
me, they don't typically do musicals.
no, but I was mostly thinking about the flying and how that kind of reminded me of How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah, I think like more broadly, this feels like a Disney movie just
Yeah.
overall. Um,
When it comes
and
to
then I
beautiful
guess
flying, it
Disney owns it now.
is Disney was hungry.
Om nom nom. Let's gobble up Rio and Ice Age and Epic and Spies in Disguise and some other movies.
um, so I know you didn't watch it, but I did send you a video that I saw on my DVD copy.
Yeah, it was a deleted scene, I believe.
Yeah, it was the Blue was trying out the fruit in Rio, and one of the funny lines it says, and it shows how disconnected he is to his own kind in reality, is that he said, "I will only have natural fruit, that the ones that come in cereal boxes."
Oh my god. So I really didn't enjoy the dog character.
Well, thank God he wasn't in you know, was in the movie that long.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like honestly the drooling is what didn't do
Yeah,
it for me. It was honestly just constantly a distraction, and I just didn't like that.
I can look past it, but I can understand why you would be repelled by it.
Yeah, and like not only was the drool distracting, I also just don't like dogs in general. So
Yeah,
that that combination just wasn't great. I love Jewel, and I love that like the relationship between. I'm gonna come back to the relationship between her and Blue because um, I feel like it's one of the strongest aspects of this movie. I love that like Jewel respects his decision to go back to domestic life, even if she doesn't agree with it. And then I love that, like, him deciding not to eventually, like, at the end of the movie, isn't a situation where, like, she manipulated him into doing it. Um, and that, like, it's a choice that ultimately, like, it's sacrificing something for the people you love. But the important thing with sacrifice in a relationship is that people have to choose the sacrifice,
Yeah.
or birds have to choose the sacrifice. Um,
Honestly, it just feels very weird how this bird relationship is probably stronger than a lot of relationships that we've seen in this move in this entire podcast series.
I mean, look back at previous episodes of this podcast. Like, we've talked about fucking Snow White and Prince Florian.
Yeah.
Although, we have also talked about Rapunzel and Eugene. That was a really good one.
Yeah, we've talked about really good ones and really bad ones.
You know, one we haven't talked about yet that I think is a very strong relationship.
Hmm.
Fix It, Felix, and Calhoun.
Huh. I'll I'll be
Also,
judge.
Simba and Nala. We haven't covered The Lion King yet, and we're coming close to episode 75. What are we doing? God. Okay, so I just love this movie. So much of it. I don't. I haven't seen Rio 2 in a long time, but I didn't. I remember not thinking it was anywhere near as good as this movie. And
Yeah.
also, I'm mildly annoyed. One thing I didn't mention, and I probably should mention it now before I forget,
Hmm.
the fact that Nigel lived really annoyed me.
Who is that again?
The big bad bird.
Oh, that one. Why is the fact that he lived annoyed you?
They show him like getting sent into like a jet engine, and he somehow lives that.
Well, I
Like, he
just
gets sucked into a jet engine, and he lives.
I don't even think it was much of an engine. It really definitely
Propeller,
not
whatever. He gets
definitely not
sucked
a
in,
jet
and
engine that we're no used to. At least something as low power enough that I could believe that he could survive.
no, like, this is the same thing that killed Syndrome in The Incredibles, and it doesn't kill this stupid bird.
Except that's not the same thing. That
They're
this
they
one
are
is a
literally
full jet engine. I remember in that scene that did not look like it was fast, sure, but it wasn't that didn't look that powerful as much as a airplane. In fact, it almost looked like it could that entire thing could have looked like it was about to crash at any moment. The fact that even still stood up, was able to fly, is just weird.
But yeah, I don't really think I have too much more to say about
I'm
this
just
movie.
I'm actually a little bit glad that he survived in this movie to have him because I'm pretty sure he shows up in the second movie. So I'm at least glad if he's gonna show up, they at least confirm that he is alive and isn't just like, aha, I'm alive. You didn't see that one coming.
But yeah, I don't think I have too much more to say about this movie. So I guess I will get into what the ratings for this movie that show up
Hmm.
when you search it on Google are. IMDb gives this a 6.9 out of 10. Nice.
Nice.
Um, Rotten Tomatoes gives it 72%. Okay, we have this new one called Letterbond. I've never seen
Fuck
this one
is Letter
before.
Bomb?
Yeah, I've never seen this one before. They give it 3.1 out of 5, and 86% of Google users like the movie.
Am I being dramatic? Am I gonna be dramatic on this one? You know what? No. I think this movie deserves a 9.0.
I don't know if I would go that high. Um,
It's a movie that I actually almost watched completely twice. Um, because I watched it a few days earlier, before we even recorded. We're supposed
you
to
know,
record.
yeah. So like, I don't know if I would say this is one of my favorite movies, but this is definitely my favorite musical that isn't a Disney musical, not counting The Greatest Showman.
I was just
Like
about to say,
my favorite animated musical that isn't made by Disney. There we go.
The Greatest Showman was really good. Also,
Yeah.
it's
We'll
almost,
we'll cover The Greatest Showman eventually.
wait,
It
who the
has its
hell was that
problems
made out
too.
of? Who the fuck made that?
Fox.
Oh, oh, so that's why it's on Disney Plus.
Yeah. We'll cover The Greatest Showman eventually because it has its own problems, um, namely historical inaccuracies. Um, but anyway, before that, I do got to give my rating for this movie. I think I want to go with 8.0.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I really like this movie, but I unfortunately like I it doesn't. There are some things that I don't like about it, and at the same time, I do have to rate it high because it's just so good, and it's one of Blue Sky's best movies.
I still have the first song stuck in my head.
But yeah, do you have anything more that you would like to say?
Um, a very weird coincidence that we landed on Rio 2.
And that
God,
this movie
yeah, I love this
has
movie.
part of it taking place in Brazil, just like the Incredible Hulk did, and the wheel landed on Iron Man 2 in that episode. That
Still
is so
weird.
wild.
That is wild. Um, I actually, yeah, I've already looked. I think I might just commit to buying this movie. In any case, I think it's time for the outro.
Yeah. So until next time, I have been Avery, that's been Lily, and I am not an ostrich.